This video will be about doing satin stitches and adjusting them. We're going to draw a heart shape, which will also show how to use some mirroring points. We're going to do this all with just curved objects. So we're going to create a curved object. We're going to turn on snap to hoop just so that I can get things lined up right off the bat. I'm going to choose a control point or end point, control point, then end point, then control point, end point. Now I've chosen, since I have snap to hoop, that basically these points are aligned. It's not a very pretty heart, so let's select that and modify it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of modify half of it and get it the way we want. Get a nice looking heart. When you have snap to hoop on, you might want to turn that off when you modify points because it's going to end up snapping the points, and then the graphic has to be red when you click it, otherwise it won't take the value. So, and when you snap to hoop, it kind of goes where it wants. So let me show you that. If I change snap to hoop and I click it, it's going to go, it's going to go wherever the snap point is. And my mouse might not be there, or if I wait a little bit longer, see, I have to get it red again in order for it to take the value. So sometimes it's good to turn that off if you're not trying to align things to the hoop. It's not exactly the kind of heart I want. Maybe I'm going to make it a little deeper here. And okay, so that is somewhat of a heart. Now what I want to do is I want to actually, I'm going to snap these 2 points so that I'm going to mirror these points. So under the point menu, you have the mirror functions, and you can see this graphic has mirror in X and mirror in Y. So what's going to happen is this point is going to be exactly mirrored in X is what we want to choose, so we're going to choose that. And the menu says click on the point to move. Now we don't want to move these points because these points are good. The shape of the heart is pretty good. What we're going to want to do is click this point, for example, and then it says click on the point to mirror around. Well, the center of the heart could either be any of these points that are in the center. We're going to click that as the mirror around point, and then it's going to click which point to mirror from. So we're going to click that, and now the point over here is exactly the same distance in X and Y on either side. We do the same thing for the second one. We click the point to move, we click on a mirror point, the point to mirror around, and we click on the point to mirror from. So now we have a heart. This heart is pretty ordinary. We want to kind of make it a satin, let's say. And so now we'll be able to see how we do the satin functions. So we're going to change the stitch type to satin, and we get a heart shape like this. Now you notice that what happens when we choose satin is it just offsets the curve a distance, and it's offsetting the control points the same distance. And because this is a Bezier curve, it doesn't necessarily do exactly what we want all the time. This heart's kind of shaped and funny. It might be good for some designs, but for this design we want to kind of make it nice and even. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a few functions. The first function we're going to do is we're going to close the graphic, which now puts these points here and here. And then under the satin menu, we're going to turn on this function, which is called manual. We want to manually move the points. Once we've done that, when we select modify points, we can now move the control points. We can move all 6 points basically. So we can move the curve point, which we're doing, and the other curves move, or the other points move along with it. But we want to basically make this heart not so, well, we want to make it kind of even along the whole way. So you just have to play with the control points to get that. So we're going to do that. We're going to stretch this outer control point out. And you can see that now the heart is pretty good shape. I might not have to do anything else. That might be good enough for this demo. So you can see now that these points are where we want them to be. And we didn't touch these points, so we don't have to move them. But these points over here need to be properly mirrored. So to properly mirror them, we just choose the mirror points option again, and we start with the points. Now we have to keep track which one's the outside and inside points. This point controls the outside of the satin. You can see it just moves the outside. The inside hasn't moved. This moves everyone together, and then this one moves the inside. So we're going to want to do the same thing for all these guys too. And maybe it would be a good idea to kind of approximate, get them in the right spot, so that when we choose mirror point in X, we don't get lost. So we're going to click this point. We want to click this point, I'm sorry. We want to click the point to align in X. It would be that one. And we'll pick a center point. And then what did I just do? I didn't do what I wanted to do, because I wasn't choosing mirror, I don't think. So let's do that again. So mirror point. I'm going to pick this point. I'm going to pick the center point. I'm going to pick that point. Now you notice it moved over. So we're going to click this point, which is the same as this point, that point, that point, and then this point, that point, that point. Now we have a perfectly symmetric heart shape. You notice that the satin lines, basically what happens is they space evenly along these lines on each side. And so you notice that here they kind of twist and turn. Usually that ends up being an actually nice looking satin, but they're all controlled basically by the end points of the curves. So if we wanted to have more control over that, we would just draw more curves. These are only 2 curves that we've drawn, and so the end points here and the end points here are what controls the satin lines.